2025年持续5天的世界经济论坛年会达沃斯论坛刚结束。这届论坛的主题是智能时代合作，人工智能前所未有的成为了大会的一个核心议题之一，特别是在 AI 对劳动力市场和经济的影响、AI 治理和伦理，以及合作应对 AI 带来的全球挑战这3大方面。会议期间 Anthropic 公司首席执行官 Dario Amodei 接受了美国 CNBC 电视频道的采访，提到了一个看法，让众人哗然，即未来的2至3年内 AI 可能会全面超越人类。其实我们之前的视频中曾经介绍过这家来自于加州的人工智能公司 Anthropic 以及它的人工智能大语言模型 Claude。 公司的 CEO Dario 也是在 AI 领域的顶尖研究人员。之前对于大多数人来说如果说到 AI 大语言模型，那么曝光率最多的是 OpenAI 的 ChatGPT。这家 Anthropic 公司旗下的 Claude 大语言模型对于 ChatGPT 来说更加注重 AI 的安全性。那么 Anthropic 这家公司在技术性上也更加着重于 AI 技术的技术性研究，尤其是人工智能系统的对齐性和解释性的研究。还是延续我们一贯的风格哈，我简单做一下科普，解释一下什么是 AI 领域的对齐性和解释性。其中对齐性是指 AI 系统的目标、行为和输出与人类意图、价值观和伦理标准保持一致的能力。换句话说，就是确保 AI 按照我们人类系统的方式工作，不会偏离或者产生不良的结果。而 AI 的解释性是指理解和解释 AI 系统，尤其是复杂的机器学习模型如何得出决策或预测，目的就是让人类更清楚地了解 AI 系统内部的工作原理，从而建立对 AI 的信任，并更有效地利用它们。为什么我认为 AI 的解释性在当前非常重要呢？因为介于当前人类的技术水平尚未完全解决 AI 的黑匣子问题。黑匣子问题也就是对于一些复杂的人工智能模型，比如深度学习模型，我们只能获得模型输出的决策或者预测结果，但是却无法明确地知道这些模型是如何得出这些决策或预测结果的。上面的内容您只要简单了解一下就可以了哈。我们再回到 Anthropic 公司的 CEO Dario 呢，是人工智能领域的顶尖专家。他曾经早期在 Google 的 AI 研究团队参与了 AI 深度学习的研发，后来加入 OpenAI 担任研究副总裁，主导多个核心项目，是 GPT 模型开发的关键人物之一。再后来 Dario 与 OpenAI 的核心管理层在公司发展方向上产生了分歧，据说是 AI 的安全性问题。于是 Dario 于2021年离开了 OpenAI， 创建了 Anthropic 公司。我觉得有必要听一听一个 AI 业界顶级研究人员对当前 AI 发展情况的看法，所以我想把这段视频拿出来一起分享一下。这段视频其实没有太多的硬核的科技的内容，但是大致你通过这段视频可以得出一个结论， AI 的发展目前已经达到了一个什么样的阶段。那么下面我们就来看一下这段采访视频。
Talk some artificial intelligence, key theme here in Davos. And first, right here on CNBC is Anthropic's co-founder and CEO, Dario Amodei. It's great to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
And you're a first-timer here in Davos.
My first time here, yes.
What is it, before we even get into it, what do you think of all this craziness?
It's pretty crazy.
It's about as crazy as you think. Let's talk AI, because that is, there's Trump and there's AI. It seems like those are the two topics here in Davos. And I would start with this. The big question in AI land is, are we hitting a wall? Right? I mean, I still think that topic is up for debate. We've heard Sam Altman say there is no wall. We've heard from Google saying we might be getting closer to one. You've sort of hinted around the edges that we might be hitting something, but I don't know.
So I've been in this field for 10 years. I've worked at all the major companies, including Google, including OpenAI. Me and some of my collaborators were the first ones to document what are called scaling laws, which is the observation that as you pour more compute into AI systems, they get generally better and better. And throughout that 10 years, there have been maybe 5 or 6 times in those 10 years where we thought that we were hitting a wall, where we thought that something didn't work. And, within a few months, something slightly different was invented. Either we didn't actually hit a block or something slightly different was invented that let us get around it. The scaling of AI, it feels like this river that, every once in a while it runs into a stone, but it'll always finds a way to go around.
It's hitting a stone to you right now?
It absolutely does not. In fact, right now I'm more confident than I have ever been at any previous time that we are very close to powerful capabilities. Throughout the 10 years that I've been working in this field, I've always said, I don't know for sure. This is the direction it seems like it's going in. We could be getting to very powerful or human level systems. I still think there's uncertainty. I think it's important to be humble. But over the last 6 months, I would say that uncertainty for me has decreased a great deal.
And gets to where? Gets to AGI or gets to something else? And that's artificial general intelligence.
Yeah, AGI has never been a well-defined term for me. I've always thought of it as a marketing term. But, the way I think about it is at some point we're going to get to AI systems that are better than almost all humans at almost all tasks. The term I've used for it in an essay I recently wrote is a country of geniuses in a data center. It's a sort of evocative phrase for all the power and all the positive things and, all of the potential negative things. That's the thing that I think we are quite likely to get in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know exactly when, but the things that I've seen inside Anthropic and out of it over the last few months lead me to believe that we are on the trajectory.
One of the things that you've done that I think is remarkable is you have effectively taught, or maybe it's taught itself, effectively how to use a computer. Meaning rather than have APIs and have to go directly into things, that effectively it can go and use a mouse and find the things that it needs to go off and do. How game-changing is that?
Yeah, so the way I think of computer use, which is what we call that capability, is I think of it as the first step towards a broader vision. So our picture of the broader vision is we are planning this year in 2025 to build something that we call the virtual collaborator. And the idea is that would be an agent that operates on your computer, on a computer, might operate at work. And you can give it tasks. You can say, write this feature for this app. And, it'll write some code. It'll compile the code. It'll check the code. It'll talk to its coworkers on Slack or on Google Docs or on some other platform. It'll check in with you to see how to see how the task is progressing. So over the next year, we're going to be gradually putting out the pieces of this vision. And along with that, making sure it's safe and controllable and all of those things. And I think of computer use as the first piece of that vision. We initially released it a few months ago. It was an early prototype. It was good for its time, but we are quickly going to be iterating on that, but also on other pieces of the grand virtual collaborator.
Let me ask you a question about processing power. And the example I use is actually what Elon has done with XAI. It is remarkable to me that XAI, I don't want to say has caught up to what you're doing or what OpenAI is doing, but he's gotten pretty close pretty quickly. And it raises a question about whether these large language models ultimately get commoditized, that there's a special sauce that you have, and Sam Altman's got, everyone's got their own special sauce, but that it is, if you have enough NVIDIA chips, you too can build a large language model.
Yes. So first of all, I think not a lot of people are going to have enough chips. So I believe Elon has built, 100,000 chips. We're using Amazon's Trainium chips and Google's TPU chips. But this year we plan to have, I think it was announced at Amazon's conference, we plan to have several 100,000 of these chips ready by a few months from now. So I think that will already limit it to a relatively small number of players. Within that, I think there are a lot of sources of differentiation. Every model is different. So one of the things we hear about Claude is that people really like its character. People like interacting with Claude. People ask Claude for relationship advice, for help dealing with their problems, much more so than the other models.
Yes.
One of the
and
things,
I can attest to that, by the way. I've played with it, and it is a much more sort of personalized and friendly service for some reason.
One of the things that struck me most about this was there was a blog post from Stanford Medical School about a week ago, and they looked into, I believe it was radiologists that they studied who they showed the radiological images to the models, and they said, what do you, can this help with diagnosis? So there were two separate kind of axes on which they measured them. How accurate is the diagnosis? And many of the models had accurate diagnoses. But second, how likely was the radiologist to actually follow the model's recommendation? And in that area, Claude won head and shoulders above the others because something about the way Claude was interacting with the radiologists made the radiologists more willing to listen to Claude.
好，视频就到这里了。我想做一点感叹，大多数时候我们普通人只是随波逐流，基本都是被时代的大潮推着往前走。走向什么地方，走多远，很多时候都是被动的、不清楚的。我们受制于对事物的知情程度、立场角度、理解能力、认知能力等等，大多都会无知于即将到来的变化，只能被动的接受。所以说，当残酷到来的时候，我们大多数人是没有准备的。好了，今天就到这里了，感谢您的收看，我们下次再见吧。